Your ticket is not a visa. It doesn't guarantee admission to the U.S. It guarantees you an expedited appointment. You're still going to go through the same vetting. We're going to do the same vetting as anybody else would get. The only difference here is we're moving them up in the queue. We're moving them up faster. But my advice to everyone that's watching around the world is, if you intend to come to the games, you have to have a ticket. You need to apply. Apply as soon as possible. You're going to get your interview within, 6 to 8 weeks, and move forward from there. Don't wait till the last minute to do it.
Would you feel safe going to the US for the World Cup?
No, gun violence, not with it. Say the wrong thing, you get shot.
I think at the moment the tensions are just too high with everything going on, and I'd stay out of it personally.
100%, yeah. Can't let something like recent events put you off going to something so, as a massive football fan, something so important as a World Cup.
Yeah, I would. It's just scaremongering, isn't it? We should just crack on.
No, I think I'll just stay out of it.
If they're hosting it, they need to make sure that they've precautioned enough for people to still feel safe to go.
I haven't really considered America to be somewhere.
So I've cancelled my next trip to the United States. I was meant to be going there in later April. I was looking forward to it as well, like going to Boston, New England, beautiful places, lovely people. In fact, I even have both friends and actually some relatives in Maine, but I've cancelled it because ICE, or whatever the hell it is detaining people. I mean, they detained a young Canadian for 10 days. They apparently arrested a bunch of Germans recently. They're going through people's phones. Like, this is meant to be, the United States is meant to be the beacon of democracy and freedom and so forth. Well, it is anything but. This is what fascism actually looks like.
This headline is the perfect example of how America keeps letting racism fuck up the money. Trump's latest travel ban happens to include several countries set to play in the US for the World Cup. And while the travel ban has exceptions for players and officials, there is no exception for the fans of those teams. So on top of the initial barrier that this environment of absolute fear for any non-US citizen that would have wanted to come visit and see a game truly is, they went ahead and upped the score by straight up barring the fans of a lot of teams from entering the country to see the games. And I truthfully would not be surprised if we see some boycotts over that. We should anyway. While the travel ban only affects fans from Haiti, Iran, Senegal, and Cote d'Ivoire, it will be interesting to see how those countries and other countries respond. It didn't help anything that hosting the World Cup is already a notorious waste of money for the places that end up building a whole stadium a lot of times, redoing a lot of infrastructure to be able to accommodate the event. It's great if the tourism industry of the city and the city itself is prepared to take on that challenge, but it can be a disaster if not, and barring fans from the games on the basis of this administration's racism doesn't exactly help.
I'm hearing that the FIFA organization had to call in an emergency meeting because more than 16,000 fans have canceled their tickets. They're scuffling to try to sell tickets now. Baby, to those more than 16,000 fans, baby, y'all made the right decision. It is not worth coming to a country where you don't know if you're safe. You don't know if you're going to be on vacation and you end up getting round up by some ICE thugs because they are racist towards your skin color. So yeah, they made the right decision. Baby, I would cancel too. I'm from here and don't want to be here, let alone encouraging someone that is not from here to come here. Yeah, y'all made the right decision, and good luck, FIFA, because, baby,
this is going to be the biggest financial disaster in FIFA history. People are canceling flights. The UK Parliament is discussing boycotting the US. And if you're thinking about getting one of those FIFA packages that are floating around right now, you're into a town. Gianni Infantino is posting graphics about 150 million ticket requests. But you know what? I think that shit is a lie. Because if the demand was that high, FIFA would not be sending out these desperate emails offering flights, hotel packages for prices that we have not seen in decades. You do not discount a product that is 30 times oversubscribed. You discount a fucking product that nobody wants. And let's be real, nobody wants to come to Donald Trump's America. Recently, a UN consultant, he said publicly on Twitter that he's not gonna go anymore. And US even tried to cancel his visa or something, all because he saw what happened to Renee Good. And he was like, I don't think they deserve my money after what happened to Renee Good. I was like, dope. And let's be honest, it doesn't matter right now if you're brown or white. Nobody wants to party in a police state. Those empty seats are going to be the legacy of this fucking tournament. And no amount of fake PR stats can hide the fact that the world is terrified of the US right now.
No, from my perspective, I'd say there is a problem here. And maybe we should answer, first of all, the most basic and fundamental questions to this discussion first. Like, what does the World Cup bring to the United States of America? Or how does America benefit from this event? And we're talking about billions of dollars in revenue, tourism, hotels, flights, restaurants, transport, local businesses. Tourism, as we know today, is a multi-million-dollar global industry. And in fact, for some countries, it is their main source of income, and it is reliable. So that tells you it is something that you can look forward to make money. It's clean money. It's people voluntarily bringing their own money from all over the world and pumping it straight into your economy. And this tells you why countries actually fight to host events like the World Cup, because it is soft power. It is an economic uplift to any other country. It is global visibility. So the US needs this opportunity as much as any other country. I insist the US needs this opportunity. But the real question is America in a position to benefit from this opportunity right now? Because the reputation being sent to the rest of the world, well, from America, isn't one of safety, openness, hospitable people, and hospitable country, and openness. It is one of fear. And whether the fear is justified or not almost doesn't matter in this case. What matters is actually what the world believes, what the world is seeing to be what is happening in America right now. So let's dive into this discussion. Let's watch these videos, and I'll be back with some more good commentary.
There are reports coming out right now that nearly 25,000 fans have canceled their 2026 World Cup tickets for matches in the United States. And before anybody jumps in, yeah, the numbers are not completely confirmed by FIFA, but the reason people are canceling en masse matters. And I'm sure these numbers will continue to grow. Fans are saying the same thing over and over, that the US feels unsafe, obviously, because of the political climate, because of immigration enforcement, because we're living in what is giving totalitarian regime, because people are watching videos of ICE grabbing folks off the streets, of families disappearing into detention, of travelers being terrified they won't even make it out of the airport, of people being literally unalived by the Cheeto Puffs Gestapo. And people are asking a very reasonable question. Why would I spend thousands of dollars to visit the US that's openly treating immigrants like this? Why would I be supporting a fascist country? FIFA wants to pretend that it's politically neutral, but that argument collapses when their president is handing Donald Trump a made-up FIFA Peace Prize, praising him publicly and cozying up to this administration that's actively creating fear and harm. That is not neutrality. That is alignment. That is capitulation. That is bending the knee. And look, demand for the World Cup, let's not pretend it's not massive. Let's not pretend tickets aren't selling. This isn't about empty seats. This is about who feels safe enough to sit in them. Frankly, the US should not be hosting the World Cup or the Olympics. We got no business doing any of this. And I'm saying this as someone who's a huge sports fan. I love the Olympics. I love the World Cup. But what are we doing? If international fans, players, and workers are scared to come here, that's clearly a sign of human rights issues. But you're really not paying attention if you needed this to be your sign. Sports do not exist in a vacuum, and although things are very much giving totalitarian regime right now, I'm glad people are boycotting with their wallets. We may potentially see a pulling back in response to this, but to be honest, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen from this administration. We all know that a big goal is to avoid the midterms at this point. So the president of FIFA is going to see in real time that bending the knee and being so spineless and quite frankly so bitch-made was extremely fruitless.
Why would anyone travel to the United States for the FIFA World Cup? I'm seriously asking that question. Why would any international person travel right now to the United States for the FIFA World Cup when you are watching people getting detained and shot in the face for no reason? If you were a person of any color other than pure baby powder white, you are absolutely not safe. And we've even seen if you are baby powder white, you are still not safe. Why would you take a chance coming to a country where you could be detained, locked in prison, deported to God knows where because you came to watch a soccer game? Football, sorry. Because you came to watch a football game. Why would you come to the United States to do that? I really don't understand why. The made-up FIFA World Peace Prize that Donald Trump gave, and he immediately bombed another country and stole their leader. Like, this is not a safe place. The citizens of the United States don't want to be here. Please do not come to the United States of America for the FIFA World Cup if you are not from this country.
We talk about something that should be setting off alarm bells for every American for a second. People are already canceling their World Cup trips to the United States, not because of the games, not because of the prices, but because they're scared. I am seeing post after post from fans saying the same thing. I don't feel safe entering the United States anymore. They're afraid of being stopped by ICE, afraid of being questioned, detained, or flagged based on how they look, their accent, or something on social media. And here's the key point. Whether you agree with that fear or not doesn't matter. What matters is that fear exists. Tourism runs on trust. The World Cup runs on trust. And right now, the message being received globally is the USA is unpredictable and risky to visit. And that doesn't just hurt visitors. It hurts American workers. It hurts hotel staff, servers, drivers, stadium workers, small businesses. When people stop coming here, we pay the price. This isn't about politics. It's about reputation, rule of law, and whether the U.S. still feels like a safe, open country to the rest of the world. And once that trust is gone, it's incredibly hard to get back.
America has an undercover police force that's authorized to shoot you in the face in broad daylight, lock you in a cage, or profile you for an even slightly foreign accent or appearance. And it's hosting the World Cup, a tournament that's supposed to represent global unity, while it's also actively invading, bombing, and threatening other countries that don't agree with it. It's disgraceful. Do not come to America for the World Cup.
So the new World Cup has just been canceled in the USA. And this is because travelers from other countries are terrified that ICE may decide that they're a gang member and they'd be locked in prison for a year with no charges. Because if you watch the videos of ICE, they run up to random civilians and they're like, "Are you a US citizen? Are you a US citizen?" Imagine you're just traveling to the USA and you're like, "No, I'm not." And then you get pulled in the van, but you're like, "I'm just traveling." So guys, a lot of people are very afraid, and as you know, the World Cup is coming up. But guys, it gets worse, so keep watching. People are literally being locked in prison for a year with no charges, no hearing, no trial, no right to consult a lawyer, and no phone call. The US is not safe to visit. I canceled my World Cup tickets. 5 million views, 200,000 likes. So it seems like a lot of people are agreeing, and if the World Cup sees that everybody's mainly canceling their tickets, they're not going to go here. They're obviously going to change it because they need money, of course.
The World Cup just ran into another major issue because it's being reported that over the weekend, over 16,000 people just canceled their World Cup tickets. Except that's not true because you literally can't. FIFA doesn't allow it. All sales are fine. People can resell tickets, but you can't just cancel them because you don't want to go anymore. It doesn't work like that. There are a few instances where you can get a refund and the game can get canceled, and that way, you'll get your tickets canceled that way. But just because you don't want to go doesn't work like that. FIFA's going to get their money one way or another. There is a growing sentiment and a discussion to boycott the World Cup, but that's nothing new because that also happened in 2022 with the Qatar World Cup. With that being said, if you are planning to travel to the 2026 World Cup, plan to go to Canada or Mexico. The environment, the vibes are going to be a lot better. Avoid the United States altogether because as much as this sounds like crazy, this is the way that it is. You can get arrested for simply being a foreigner. Like that's the situation. So yeah, do with that information what you will.
Hello and good morning. In today's episode of As the White Hood Turns, let's talk about FIFA. You know what I'm talking about, the World Cup, right? Okay. So we remember just a few short months ago when Infantino gave Sid that peace prize, the made up one, right? That one. So it has now come to light that people all over the world are boycotting FIFA and are canceling their travel and their tickets to come to the US for the World Cup. What? They said, nah, we ain't coming. Y'all crazy. Y'all just be out here willy and nilly, shooting people, grabbing people off the street and everything. So no, we ain't coming. Get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it because we ain't coming. And I love this. I love this because this just goes back to pretty much everything that Sid touches. Right? You can fill in the blank. I love this. I love it. Honorable mention, however, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. They are now out of the playoffs. We gonna blame Saquon. He went over there. He went over to the White Hood. And George Kittle, big honking Sid supporter, plays for the 49ers. He tore his Achilles yesterday. So even as the Niners advance, he won't be playing. I'm not saying that it's Sid's fault. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that when you align yourself with Sid, things don't always go your way, right? Because they never go his way. Not really. Okay. I'm going to go drink some coffee. Y'all have a good day. Okay, bye.
We have wild news. Remember when FIFA gave Donald Trump a peace prize? Yeah, about that. International fans are now canceling their World Cup tickets in protest of Donald Trump's violent immigration crackdown, and it's snowballing fast. Nearly 17,000 fans have already canceled, and that number is climbing rapidly. And it's not because of prices, and it's not because of flights, but because people don't feel safe entering the United States anymore, and I don't blame them. See, fans from Europe, Africa, South America, and Asia are openly saying that they're not coming to a country where ICE is unaliving civilians, harassing people in the streets based on their skin color and accents, and treating immigrants and visitors like targets. The breaking point? Of course, the ICE unaliving in Minneapolis, where Renee Good, a U.S. citizen and mother, was unalived by a federal agent. That video went global, and suddenly the World Cup, which was supposed to be a celebration of unity, looks like it's being hosted by a violent country in crisis. People are posting refund confirmations instead of travel plans. Hashtags like Boycott World Cup are trending internationally. Fans are saying they refuse to watch football on bloodstained soil. And here's the key part. They're hitting the money because that's the only language that Americans and this Trump regime understands. FIFA, they're reportedly panicking. Host cities are very nervous. Sponsors are watching closely because if international fans don't show up, the entire economic promise of the 2026 World Cup, it just collapses. This isn't just about soccer, it's about values. You can't sell joy, unity, and global community while running a violent country that looks hostile, militarized, and dangerous to outsiders.
If the FIFA World Cup 2026 is still held in the United States, are you still planning to come? I am seeing throughout many news reports that thousands and thousands of soccer fans around the world are saying they will not come to the United States and spend their money and potentially support Donald Trump, nor do they want to potentially be held because of our immigration changes under Donald Trump. And FIFA is actually looking right now at a backup plan to potentially move the FIFA World Cup 2026 to either Canada or to Mexico or perhaps to both. Now, I'm interested in your opinion as someone from outside the country or even inside the country. Would you go to FIFA World Cup if it continues to be held in the United States in 2026? Are you going to come or would you boycott? What do you think? And if so, why? Clearly, I know why, but let us know why. It helps to see the actual statements from you. You're not coming because you are concerned about being held up. You're concerned about immigration. You're concerned about Department of Homeland Security. You don't support Trump. Or if you come in because you love him, then that's fine too. Tell me that. But let me know what you think. Love you for my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned out light bulbs, and all my FIFA soccer fans all around the world. Let me know what you think. You going to come to the United States if it stays here? Or do you want it to be moved to Mexico or Canada? What do you think?
Over 16,800 people canceled their FIFA World Cup tickets over the last 48 hours. This surge in cancellation of tickets is fueling a call for a boycott of the World Cup in general. In America, citing that America is not safe for not only the fans, but especially the athletes that are coming from nations that our current government deemed shitholes. 4 years ago, the World Cup was held in Qatar. When that announcement was made, there were a bunch of human rights organizations and watch groups who had their ears turned up to say, how could you possibly do a World Cup in the Arab world that is not in line with democracy, freedom, and human rights? And now we have people from the Arab world canceling their tickets in the modern free Western world due to human rights concerns, and violence that is being done against people of a specific race, religion, and FIFA fans are citing safety fears, political protests, and a growing human rights concern about the way that humans are being treated in America. In response to the growing backlash, FIFA has announced that they were going to set an emergency meeting this week to discuss the ongoing concerns and how to gate tens of thousands, if not 100,000 people canceling their tickets. The games are set to start from the 11th of June, and they were taking place in Canada, America, and Mexico, but the bulk of the games are being done in America, where we currently have ICE and police attacking American citizens.
Not to be a hater, but I'm kind of excited and eager to watch the World Cup crumble because it's being hosted in the US. I don't know. I'm not hoping that it does, but based on the current state of America, there's just no way it's gonna go smoothly. But I'm intrigued enough to see it crumble for many reasons. Like, just for one, what did America think was gonna happen? Everyone in the world is watching ICE go and kidnapping people off the streets, shipping out human beings left and right, disappearing humans, sending thousands of troops to cities like the friggin' Hunger Games. I thought people around the world are gonna go, oh, that's cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and book this ticket for the World Cup. No, my guy. It's so funny because they're like, oh, this is gonna contribute millions of dollars to the US economy. Psych! I just now saw how like tens of thousands of people who already purchased tickets canceled their tickets within the past 48 hours because of what's happening in the US. I don't know, kind of vibey. I'm kind of feeling it. Because once it inevitably crumbles, and it most likely will, it'll be just the perfect example of America thinking it's so great and they can do anything as long as you believe in yourself, but then not have the resources and infrastructure and systems in place to make it work. The delusion of American exceptionalism at its best. And the second reason why I'm also kind of excited to watch it crumble is because when it was being hosted in the Arab world, in Qatar 4 years ago, every Western country, and within every Western country, every news outlet had so much to say about Qatar and question whether it was right to host it in a country like Qatar, in a Muslim country, in an Arab country. But now that it's in a Western country, and that said Western country is literally disappearing people, kidnapping people, and some of them are dying because of what's going on. And I haven't seen one Western news outlet say anything questioning whether it's right to continue with the World Cup in the US. But when it's an Arab and a Muslim country, no, we have to question everything. And what's funny is that World Cup, the Qatar one, from what I hear, and all my friends, I personally did not go, but all my friends in the Middle East went. And all I've heard was that it was the smoothest process from beginning to end. The booking of the flight, your visa into the country, your transportation from the airport to the games, to your actual event, to your hotel, back to the airport, everything was smooth. And it was a very clean, streamlined process. Something that America could never do. America could never. I lived there for 33 years. They could never do that. Just the systems in America, in any and every sense, are just broken. Everything's broken. And for them to think they're gonna successfully be able to host hundreds of thousands, if not more than, or is it like millions, of attendees and tourists for the games?
Over 16,800 people canceled their FIFA World Cup tickets over the last 48 hours. This surge in cancellation of tickets is fueling a call for a boycott of the World Cup in general in America, citing that America is not safe for not only the fans, but especially the athletes that are coming from nations that our current government deems shitholes. 4 years ago, the World Cup was held in Qatar. When that announcement was made, there were a bunch of human rights organizations and watch groups who had their ears turned up to say, how could you possibly do a World Cup in the Arab world that's not in line with democracy, freedom, and human rights. And now we have people from the Arab world canceling their tickets in the modern free Western world due to human rights concerns and violence that's being done against people of a specific race, religion, and phenotype. Fans are citing safety fears, political protests, and a growing human rights concern about the way that humans are being treated in America. In response to the growing backlash, FIFA has announced that they're going to set an emergency meeting this week to discuss the ongoing concerns and how to mitigate tens of thousands, if not 100,000 people canceling their tickets. The games are set to start from June 11th, and they're taking place in Canada, America, and Mexico, but the bulk of the games are being done in America, where we currently have ICE and police attacking American citizens. Like, I knew that this would be a concern, especially with when you look at the countries that are football, soccer fans. It's all the people that this current administration hates. It's not majority white people. Yeah, a lot of Europeans love soccer, but a lot of the countries are coming from black, brown, Muslim, Arab, Asian, Latino people. The people that by said racial profiling would get picked up by ICE. ICE, who is killing American citizens and rounding up kids, underage kids. ICE even rounded up a priest, and they had a priest at gunpoint. And then they put the priest in the car, detained him, and they kept trying to intimidate the priest. And he was like, I'm not scared of you. And then they said to him, well, you're white. You're not fun anyway.
An ICE agent literally came over to me and said, what did you say? I said, I am not afraid. And they pointed a gun in my face. ICE put handcuffs on my hands and put me in a black SUV. And then a few moments later, they came back and they said, are you afraid yet? And I said, no. And then they said it. Well, you're white. You wouldn't be fun anyway. It was then that I knew that the staging, that these ICE raids are really about fear and intimidation.
Just proving the point that all of the racial tensions in this country are at the behest of the current administration, but that ICE is racially profiling people and white people should have been safe, but they just killed a white woman. I say all that to say there is growing concern for human rights issues and safety in this country. And how long does America get to act like they're still the beacon of the world, the beacon of freedom, and the beacon of democracy? Because in fact, we're definitely not.
Okay, now, this is where the real problems or the problem becomes real. People are already, canceling their World Cup trips to the United States, not because of the games, not because suddenly they don't love to watch football, soccer for that matter in America, not because the ticket prices are too high, but because they are scared. And I'm seeing a lot of posts from fans saying the same thing. I don't feel safe entering the US anymore. Fear of being stopped by ICE, fear of being questioned, fear of being detained, or flagged based on how they look, how they talk, their accent, their passport, or something. Perhaps they said on social media a long time ago that they probably don't even remember. And let me say this clearly and honestly. Whether you personally agree with the fear or not doesn't matter. Fear doesn't need permission to exist. Once it exists, then people's behavior begins to change. Tourism really runs on trust, on safety. And so the World Cup, which by extension is an event of tourism, it's more than soccer, it's more than kicking the ball, it's more like a business, which is tourism. The World Cup so therefore runs on trust, on safety, on hospitality. These are extremely sensitive industries, this kind of industry. The moment people feel unsafe or unpredictable risk, then they simply don't come. These are people who are voluntarily doing this. They choose to come and spend their money in your country. So once they feel like it's not so safe to go there, then they just don't have to go there. They choose another destination, another country, another experience. And of course, that is at the expense of you who was, the host that didn't look so welcoming. And right now, the global message being received is that the United States of America feels unpredictable and risky to visit. And this, to be honest, is devastating for tourism in the US. And it is important to understand who actually pays the price. It's not the politicians. It is the American workers. It is the hotel cleaners. It is those that are serving in the hotels, the drivers, the stadium staff, the vendors, the small businesses, entire communities that would really rely on global events like this to survive. Now there are people who want to prepare in parallel, to host these people, to provide services, but they're not even sure of the numbers because of the fluctuating, trends, whether they are coming or they are not. You might end up buying things you'd sell to tourists and they don't show up and you end up making losses, or not buying and people come and you have lost an opportunity. When people stop coming, Americans will lose jobs. Americans, lose income. And so Americans are the ones that suffer. And what makes this event, this even worse, is that there have been already a lot of reports just a few months ago of tourism declining due to policies being enacted by this Trump administration. This World Cup, for me, I'd say, would have been a perfect chance to, turn things around, to reverse this trend, a chance to reset the image, and a chance to say America is open to tourists, America is welcoming and hospitable, come, enjoy yourselves, and so bring your money. But instead of capitalizing on this opportunity, it appears like the US is actually doing, the exact opposite. What the world is seeing is aggressive enforcement, people being harassed in public. In fact, US citizens being harassed in public, communities living in fear. And here's the uncomfortable reality. If a government is willing to openly terrorize its own people, its own citizens, what message does this send to foreigners? If citizens themselves don't feel secure, why would tourists feel secure even if you tell them that they would be secure and they will be secured? Why would someone fly thousands of miles from across the world, just to watch a football match, a game of soccer, party and spend their money only to worry about being detained at the airport or being stopped in the streets just because of how they look or how, they are perceived to look or how they talk, So tourism or would say tourists aren't coming to deal with law enforcement and anxiety. We can agree on that. You cannot spend your own money willingly to put yourself in trouble. They're coming to celebrate, to relax, to spend money, and to enjoy the culture. And once that sense of ease is disappears, once trust is broken, it is incredibly difficult, to restore that. So this isn't about the left or the right. It's not even about partisan politics for this matter. This is about the image, what is known as the reputation. It is about whether the United States still feels like a stable, predictable, and safe destination for the rest of the world, for tourists. Because perception matters. What people think of you, what people believe of you really matters. In tourism, perception is really basically everything, you can have world-class facilities, world-class stadiums, massive marketing campaigns, perfect or near perfect infrastructure. None of it matters if people don't feel safe. The World Cup is a once in a generation opportunity. Billions in potential revenue, global exposure, economic uplift. And right now, it feels like the United States of America is actively undermining its own opportunity. No one else is playing that role. It's them and the government of the day that's undermining that opportunity that they'd rather take advantage of. So America has a lot to gain from this event, the World Cup, but also it has a lot to lose if the world no longer feels, safe and welcome to the United States of America. And once the trust is gone, history shows that it's hard to rebuild that trust. So let's wait and see, but I hope things change for the better, because if they don't, then there's a lot that is at stake. Yeah, so that's my take. I don't know what you think about this. Do share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share this video as well, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next video.